It's really nice to meet you all, like so many youngsters. It's actually an honor for me to be here and talk to you all. I've been waiting for an opportunity to talk to youngsters and tell what I have, come up with, what I've been facing to actually get into the music field. Well, all our life probably we are mostly around people who tell us that life is pretty much like a race. There are so many competitions outside and you would have to probably be the first and the best to get the best results and the prize out of life. Well, I think it's quite untrue from what I have experienced on my own. I think it's more like a freestyle race. It's not about who reaches the top, who gets the prize. It's more about who is reaching for the top. When I started out, my music career started when I was probably 8 years old. It was a very funny incident the way I started music. I was put into a singing class initially. They thought that every parent, middle class parent would obviously think first thing is Carnatic singing. So let's put that. Well, my singing is as bad as probably a dog can sing in pitch. Mine was that bad when I started it out. And my teacher actually kicked me out of the class after probably a week. She gave me a lot of food materials to eat to soothe my voice. Well, it didn't really work. And she actually said the statement to my dad that your daughter has no future in music, and my dad was quite upset about it. If singing it was just not singing that I couldn't do it. Probably there was hope for me in other aspects of music. There are instrumental music, there's electronic music these days that are a really good genre. There are multiple genres in which you don't really need singing. For example, EDM, it's electronic dance music, and DJing, there are cool DJs around, female DJs I see. What I thought was, okay, I wasn't quite interested in music then. They just put me because I was watching too much television. So when they thought, they asked me that there was another music class that was nearby, it's violin and keyboard. So they asked me, which one do you want to go? I told them which one is nearby, because my dad has a tendency of forgetting me when he drops me in the class. He would leave me there, and it would be rainy season probably, and he would forget me. I would walk miles in rain. It has happened more than once. And so I chose the keyboard class because it was nearby. I was trained for Trinity grade exams. Trinity is a university in London. And I took Western classical keyboard examinations. I've done till grade 6. And when I said about in the initially that the prize comes in the end, well, that is not actually true. Prize comes as an installment as we run the race. The prize is not money or fame or the occasional recognition that you will get if you take a job later on. Probably when you do put some efforts and your boss or your co-workers appreciate you, applaud you, well, that is not the actual prize that I'm talking about. The prize in my profession comes in installments to me when I actually work. When I do something that is out of my curiosity, when I do that, I get a sense of inner satisfaction and happiness. And that happiness mostly comes when that's okay. It's an old tune, but it's still popular. So yeah, and how many of you here actually think that earning a good pension after you're finished, you get a good job, having a good property to settle by when you're old, having a good name in the society is what career gives? How many of you think that way? So no one really thinks that. What is it that you're seeking out from your career? What are you actually looking for when you're working? What is it are you looking for? Anyone, tell me anything. Anyone?
Satisfaction, happiness.
Yes, is that it? But then why are people still running for money? Waiting for promotion? They get pressurized? Isn't it mostly because the stress comes only when you're doing work, something that you don't really like much. It is not helping you grow into someone or something. And probably it's also because of the environment. But when you do something that you really love, the stress level actually decreases. You won't probably get BP by the age of 40 if you do something that you really love. You won't be taking sleeping pills when you're for putting yourself to sleep, because I see people who actually do that. My dad roams around at the house sometimes because he couldn't sleep. Well, that happens. And I have faced certain things I would like to share with you, the 7 things that actually helped me become something. In my 10th grade, I actually got really good marks. I got like 10 full score actually in a CBSE board if you guys are studying. In CC, summative, something like that. And then I was put into a biology group. I chose biology because I had a big garden in my home and I really liked taking care of the plants. Well, my teachers and everyone actually thought that I was taking biology because I wanted to become a doctor. And that was a big shock for me because I found that they were thinking like that only in my 12th grade. Once my teacher asked to call my parents so that she could talk to him. Like I called my dad and he came there and she's like, I was scoring really well in biology because I loved the subject and I got like probably around 98 or something out of 100 and then she told my dad, your daughter is not gonna get anywhere. I was like, I'm studying well, why are you saying that? And then he asked why she even got good scores and he said like, because she missed 2 marks. She missed 2 marks. The cutoff is gonna go and you're not gonna get into any medical college. And I was like, and my dad just looked at me. He wasn't sure that I wanted to do medicine and he was looking at me and I was like, I just took few steps because I wanted to get out of her side, my teacher's side. They were walking like this and I just took few steps. If you put me into medical college, I will kill myself. I was like that. Then what happened was, just 1 month before my 12th board examination, I had some of my relatives calling, like to wish me good luck. Some were really encouraging. They wanted me to do my best. And some they are really caring people, but then they call you and then they tell you that, like, you know, they threaten you so that you do well. No TV. No taking breaks. Sleep less, work hard, wake up early and study. And I had a cousin who was also doing 12th grade in the same time. They put him into boarding school and he used to call me. I hate it. There's no television. There's no phone. Nothing. He was actually doing well as, like we were both good students, like in 10th. It's not that we didn't study well. It's because society pressurizes our parents to put us into something. Like, you know, they are not actually trying to protect us from falling back. They are just preventing us from actually facing any actual problem. Distraction is a problem which any teenager will actually face, any real life teenager. You can't prevent a child from distraction. You can teach a child to overcome distraction. It's not just television. Probably for some of you to be, like, I don't know, I don't want to say some adults are over here, but you know, like you would have some distraction with girls or guys, you know. Distractions are natural things. You can't really prevent anybody from it. I told my mom, like, why they didn't have actually logical reason when I asked them. Studying well, even though there was TV and everything, I was studying in a co-ed school, so even all that was there, I was doing well. Why do you want me to put into boarding school? They said okay. They didn't have any logical explanation. They lost the argument. They said like, okay, we won't do that, you go into tuition. So they put me into a physics tuition which teaches 2 years of syllabus in 1 year. I did that. My 11th grade was successful, and in the 12th grade they taught me the same thing, because if you learn something for over a long period of time, it stays in your memory. I got pretty bored with it. Who would want to learn the same book for 2 years? Who would? So I started taking actually books of like Stephen Hawking and started reading about it, and I started doing all weird sort of things. I wasn't really studying for my 12th. 1 month before, these calls of relatives and people pressurizing me, it all caused me to like really panic. I would not sleep in the middle of the night. I would wake up. Even though I was studying really well, like I was doing pretty well. Like till that moment of fear came, and I was doing pretty well. Like first day of exam, 5 minutes before they were dispatching the students to the exam hall, I was like, all these thoughts of like people actually committing suicide after the exam because they couldn't get into a cutoff. Like they couldn't get into a college because they didn't have the necessary cutoff that was required. And then these relatives talking all sort of, you know, like shit and pressurizing the parents, and those were happening, and I wasn't like, why am I doing this? Do a person really becomes worthless just because they couldn't score in their exams? Like people are really, each of you here, I'm pretty sure, apart from what you are doing right now, are very talented in something. It might be dancing, it might be sketching, it might be probably playing a video game. How many of you, like parents scold their children for playing video game for a longer period of time and not studying? How many of you here actually know there is a position called, like, you know, test player? He tests the games for, like, when a new game is invented or something, that person plays the game and identifies all the errors in it, the best way to improve it. Like there's a game developer positions that are there. Like that, I'm pretty sure how many of you here play actually video games? See? Did all of you really want to become an engineer when you all finished your 12th grade? How many of you actually wanted to become an engineer? I'm really glad to see that, but not all of you who raised first, raised your hands now. What is it that pushed you guys into this field? Is it peer pressure, family pressure, or what is it? Society pressure? Okay, let me tell you 7 things that happened with me. 5 minutes before my exam, when all these thoughts were coming, do I really become what this? I was being very rebellious then. Okay, if I'm good at something and what I'm good at is very trivial to you and it doesn't matter to you, you consider me worthless because it is not of something that you value, then I'm going to do the same with you. You value science and stuff, you value education and marks the most important, okay, I'm not going to value it. I was so rebellious 5 minutes before my exam. That was the most fearless attempt I ever made to write when I was writing an exam. I was most fearless. I was able to actually think. And I wrote my exams. I will tell what happened later on. And after the exams got over, for 2 weeks, my dad and mom were thinking about what is she going to do. They were talking about the college applications. The result hasn't even been announced. They had very high hopes for me and they started talking about college applications. And he was sitting next to me, this is a good college, you can probably go into this. And I was like, I didn't know what I exactly wanted to do. When I made that, during those 5 minutes, I actually took a paper and I wrote, I made 5 columns and I wrote something. The first column was, what do I love to do the most? What is it that I absolutely hate? What was it that I was doing for so long in my year, 16 years probably I was then. What was I doing for the 16 years that was actually helping me and improve in the things that I actually love? And then I made another column which said, what are the things that I really don't care if I do or not? I don't hate it, I don't like it, but yeah, it was neutral. What was it that I want to stop doing? When I made those columns, I actually figured that I want to do few things. I actually wanted to do music, I wanted to write a book, I wanted to read a lot of novels, I wanted to sketch, I wanted to take care of my plants. These are all the things that I want to do. They all look stupid to you now, isn't it? Anyone can take care of plants. Really, anyone can take care. Like you can have 2 flower pots and you can take care of it. But those were the 5 main things that I actually wanted to do. And all the education that I had, it all seemed pointless in helping me then. But I still did it. And when my dad was talking with me on the sofa and he was sitting there and then I saw a TV ad going that was saying K Music Conservatory. And I looked at him and I said, I didn't even think, trust me, I didn't research about the college. I told him, I want to do music. He's like, Hare yaar, okay, you're probably pressurized, now think, well, I will take 2 days time, I know I'm overwhelming you with applications and stuff. In those 2 days, I didn't think anything actually. You must have been thinking like I would have researched more about the college. I did nothing actually. After 2 days he came like, what do you want to do? I want to do music, I told you already. And that's it, he stopped talking. I told my mom that I want to do that and she's like, okay, you got to take an audition. I spoke to the college and they said that you have to take an audition. And I came here to Chennai to inquire it and they said your audition will be actually in piano because I was learning keyboard. There's no keyboard over here, so it's actually piano. And I have never played a piano. I've never even seen a piano. I have to audition in that instrument to get into an undergraduate course. I went home and I was thinking, when all these problems come, for 1 month I was at home just thinking, I don't know what I have to do because it's a new instrument that I haven't even touched. Imagine having to give an exam in something for your undergraduate study on an instrument that you have never seen. So what I did, what and all I faced during this time of 1 month was this. Fear. I had a fear of failing, not just in my audition, in my life. And then fear of poverty. These 2 are very common problems in any middle class family that you take. Fear of failure. Why is that? I was questioning my myself why I haven't learned that instrument at all. Probably those who are auditioning will be having childhood experience learning in it. And what is there any career out of music? No one, how many of you here actually pays for music? How many of you go and buy CDs, albums? You all download it, don't you all? So how would I have earning? That was my question. Because even I was doing it, I was downloading, it's no wrong. I was downloading. Then I had this question, fear of poverty. If I don't get a job, in music there is, unless you are good at your work, you won't get a job. Even be it teaching job. It's not like you have a degree and you get a safer background, backup job or something. That's never the case. You have to be really good at what you do to get a job, because you are shaping the futures of young children who are learning under you. It's very important. So I was having these many questions, and most of the fear of poverty I could actually eradicate myself, because I was asking these questions, logical loop of questions. What do I actually am afraid of? Is it I was actually afraid of losing the comfort that I was getting rather than being extremely poor? Having the basic necessities of shelter, all those, actually I was able to do it even without, even if I failed in music completely, I would be able to get the basic shelter, basic food. I was very capable of it. I knew it by then. Like if I could at least take home tuition for someone, I would probably have it. But the comfort, I won't have it. But what would I have instead of comfort? I would have the happiness and the satisfaction of doing something that I really, really loved. So, and then came this fear of failure. That was the most hardest fear that I ever had to eliminate. Because rather than like the fear of poverty of external based elements, fear of failure is something very internal. And that it was more actually because I was having self-doubts. Trust me, when you have self-doubt, you start embracing the other people who are giving you options and opinions. Their values all mean so much to you. You start listening to them. That's what happened with most of you, I'm pretty sure. You would not have known what to do. And when you didn't know, even some of you who did know, you couldn't get the time to feel confident about your own decisions. So you actually started trusting other people. So in that case, I had an issue of who to listen to and who not to listen to, because everyone around me was saying, you're a 19-year-old girl, what are you going to do in music? Your music teacher kicked you out, what are you going to do in music? For the first 2 years that I was learning keyboard, my teacher actually asked me to sing Sare Gama Padanisa. Trust me, it took me 2 years to learn that, to sing that in pitch. So they asked me, what are you exactly going to do in music? I told them that I don't want to be a pianist. I don't want to be like a pianist or this. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to be. I just wanted to make music. So and many people weren't quite supportive of it. Like, yeah, it's a difficult field for them. Like in earlier generation, the need for career, or the basis on which you choose a career is mostly money, which fetches you more money, because it is understandable, because the economic status was like that in the initial stages. But now economy has improved a bit. It's more than just money, because people aren't really happy with money now. Earlier they were happy because they could raise their family level, but that's not the case now. So I started actually searching for people who would actually understand me. My parents couldn't really understand what I was facing. They couldn't help me with anything, and they were being hit upon by the society, like, why is your daughter doing this? Get your daughter into the right state of mind. So my dad's office people actually came home and they advised me, the people that I haven't even seen before. I was that popular even before I became a musician. It was very surprising actually to me even now. So what I did was I searched for people. I met a band member from Agam, like he's a lead guitarist. I accidentally came upon him because he was visiting my town, and I accidentally met him. I didn't realize him when I met him initially, and then he told me, and then I told him, actually I'm interested in taking music. He told me, people will talk, all the people will talk, not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay, because you're not here to make anyone understand your journey. If someone understands it, it's actually you're lucky. You must consider yourself that you're lucky, at least one or two other person understand it. Not everyone will understand it, and you have to accept that it's okay. And I started doing it. My dad couldn't understand, my mom couldn't understand. I said it's okay. I actually spoke to many other people who have taken this career, and they said, like, actually it's very essential that you talk to people who haven't even tried your career side. If you're an engineer, you go take advice from an engineer, not from a doctor. And if you're a doctor, you're going to take it from a doctor, not engineer or any other person. Because that makes sense, isn't it? Because they're facing the same problems as you. So I stopped listening to all the members of society and I was at peace at once. Then taking the initiative comes. Once you have decided what is it that you want, you have estimated what is it that you're good at, and then you have figured out like your failures and you have got a logical explanation for it going on, and then you have found right people who have supported you. You won't believe, for the 1 month when I was searching for support, I actually started reading books about, biographies about those people who took music who are facing similar conditions as me. A person said, it's actually an American philosopher, he told, if a person cannot keep pace with his companions, it's probably because he is hearing a different music, probably a different drummer. Let him step to the music that he hears, however measured or far away that is. One cannot expect, like if you are some other plant, you cannot expect yourself to grow into an oak tree or apple tree. You cannot turn the time allocated for you for a spring season into a summer. It's exactly like that. Every one here is different. Not you all may be taking the same field, but each of you are very different. And each of you have some skill. You cannot run the race of others. Like you cannot try to become like others. That can never happen, because when you are trying, you're actually killing your individuality and originality. What makes you special is your originality. You may think your originality is not good, but it is at least your originality, and that's why you're here. It's always like that. Trust me, in music field I see that. I always try to become, in my initial college years, to become like someone, and it's never like that. It's always who you are, what do you do. So next comes the initiative. How did I approach this college? For my audition, for the 1 month, my dad said, if you get through the audition, I will help you with the college expenses and stuff. And audition required money, and I had to take piano lessons for it in 1 month. So I started taking tuition art classes for young kids for my brother's classmates and stuff. I collected some amount of money. I came with that, and I paid for my piano classes. That I went over here from Chromepet. I stayed in Chromepet at my uncle's place. I went from there to EGMO every day for about a week. I learned there. I paid my classes, and then for audition I came to my college. I gave my audition and I got selected. It was boom, 1 week of piano playing and I got selected. And what did I actually asked the audition person after. It was actually my current faculty probably. So I asked him, how did you select me? He said like, it's not, you didn't know much, okay? He honestly said it, like you didn't know much, but you had the courage to come and give your exam. Because I was probably the shittiest person he must have auditioned. Because you had the guts to come here and give the exam. And I got selected. My dad helped me with the fees. It was quite expensive. He paid the fees for me. You know, they say it's a fairy tale, it never is a fairy tale, even if you follow your profession. When I came in, I had no experience. I was a novice. I was big because I was studying with people who had been learning since the age of 4. Do you believe it? 4. I was probably wondering about Pokemon at the time, and then Powerpuff Girls. Trust me, all I did that time was that. And at the age of 4, these kids started learning piano. Probably they would not even have been able to touch the pedal. I don't think they would have been able to. How many of you know piano has 3 pedals? Like when you sit in the chair, you won't reach it. And these kids started playing that. I was like, what the hell am I doing? First 1 month, full depression. I would go to class and I would sit in the corner like this. Scared as hell. I did nothing. Then came 1 year went. I slowly started working. That 1 year was the best 1 year of my life. I planned every single day of my practice because I needed to get into their level to give my final exam. Because you know, like undergraduate, everyone gets there are certain levels that they expect of you. 1 year, every step was very carefully planned. Every practice hour was very carefully planned. You know, when you have problems, you should not react to the problems. When you emotionally react to the problems, you're going to fuck up badly. and instead I started responding. I had this issue. My friends and batchmates were very ahead of me and I was very behind. What am I going to do? I spoke to some of them. A friend of, he actually started very early, I think he's over here. So I spoke to some of them and they, gave me some advice and I started working on it. When you have an opportunity to be with people who are much better than you, exploit it. Don't get into fights with them like you're better, like don't get depressed by them, use it. Because you won't get people who are better than you, who can teach you something. I learned something from every one of my classmates. 1 year went. During that time, since I wanted only to make music, I wasn't just trying piano. I was actually meeting people who were in other music fields as well. I started taking up electronic dance music production, EDM, and then I borrowed a DJ kit from one of my friends and then I was trying out DJing. I met some people, youngsters, little kids who were affected with autism and synesthesia. Autism is the inability to be socially well with other people. Like they have problem with social connections. And then synesthesia is the case where their senses are pretty connected. Like when they hear a sound, they can see a color. And when they see a color, they can produce the right sound for it. And it's not just with color and sound, it's with multiple things like smell or with taste it can be. How cool it would be. I started reading about all of them. I started reading about body language. I went and actually I met an organization called Genius Kids, and they sent me to a kid who was like having synesthesia, but it wasn't a genetically acquired synesthesia, but rather it was developed when he was a child. He was made to listen to alpha music meditation. They were projecting like alpha waves through his headphone speakers, and he was acquiring synesthesia. It was an acquired synesthesia, and that was very new for me. Like, oh my god, if I had that, I would have probably been a better musician. Those kids were made to listen to that when they were sleeping, and that was something new for me. I didn't know, I didn't know that there is anything beyond music apart from playing guitar, apart from playing instruments and like being with people who, hey, I play guitar, hey, I play piano, I'm like, hey, rock at dramache. And then I didn't know that there was so much happening behind an instrument, and that was so, it was like exploding my mind. I never met people who did so many things. So I started doing all of those things. I started talking to the kid. I got his handwritings and stuff. Like there was a pattern in every one of them, one of their handwriting. And I started production, and I got to work with like few people. For example, how many of you know about the Indian television show Indian Idol or something like that? Okay, Bhuvi Kotesh, one of the finalists from that show. I got to work with her, and then Rahul Sattu, a Canadian singer. Got to work with them. It was all like, it was the brilliant time of my life. I was learning so much things. I wasn't really good at it, but I was learning. And then something happened. Problems come. Okay, how do you solve it? There was a lot of problems happening there. I had problems actually establishing good contacts with people. I didn't learn well how to respond to people rather than I was reacting. If someone doesn't understand your work or appreciate your work, you start reacting to it. Okay, if you don't get it, fine. I'll find someone else. But that's not how it works, trust me. When you are in a field like music or even any field, you have to always work with people. You might be working for them or they will be working under you, but it's always with people. How to establish good connections with them. Having brains about your work, it doesn't matter, trust me. It's brains with good skills, communication skills. You got to be polite and understand everyone, because everyone has faced some of the difficulties. And whatever work that you do, make sure that when you're selling a product or something, that the other person has something to do with it, like they get some profit from it. Life is actually what happens when you're actually planning for something. Life happens when you're planning for something. So I wasn't actually planning to be a graduate, and I just wanted to do music. Right now my education is in a crisis because of some financial conditions. Probably my education will stop in mid of my college year, and I found a good opportunity actually after it. even before this was about to happen. I actually worked as an apprentice to improve my skill. I worked as an apprentice under 2 international pianists who came over here in Chennai. I worked for like around 3 weeks under each of them, actually 6 weeks under one of them and 3 weeks under another person. I learned my way, and now the person has offered to teach me. It's very expensive to get an education in in field like music, and in piano, because it's very expensive, trust me. Any college that you go, but then when you have good connections and when you're just doing your work for the sake of doing it, you always get people who are ready to help you. It's always about finding the right environment. So yeah, I actually would like to conclude now just by reminding what and all that you do. Estimate your worth before blindly following anyone's opinions or options that they are posing on you. Estimate what is your worth, what are the hobbies that you have, the interests that you have that will fetch you along, that you want to probably carry out throughout your whole lifetime, that you won't get bored with. Find it out, make a call and make a list of what makes you worthy and what is something that you're doing that doesn't matter to you. Never spend your time doing something that doesn't matter to you, because you know what, life is a one-time chance and it's very small. If you are hoping that if you take this job you will get a good pension, you will get that, you will get this, but before you reach the end of that race to acquire that, your life may end. We don't know how long we will live. So, and the price actually is given to us in installments, the happiness. So do work and get it as you go. Second one, overcome your fears. Realize what kind of fears you have. Peer pressure is another fear. Like, my friends are going this, I will be left behind. It's okay to be left behind as long as you're doing something that matters to you. When you're doing something that matters to you, if you're left behind, it's perfectly alright. If I hadn't been left behind from my classmates, in my second year, the end of my second year, I actually got a chance to perform as a part of A.R. Rahman's Hollywood tribute band in London. I was performing in front of Simon Cowell. Like, how many of you watch X Factor USA, X Factor UK? Who expected that? I started music production 2 years before. There were youngsters who were doing it since when they were a kid. And I was a girl. I was the only one who was underage. I wasn't 18 then. Everyone else were like 21, 23, they have finished their graduation. I was in my second year of college. The ones who came with me, they had quite a lot of trouble because they couldn't go to places they wanted to because I was underage. Well, but then, you never know where opportunities click. Don't have a plan, okay, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to stick with it. Have a direction. When you have a plan and when it doesn't work, you will get stuck to it, like, oh my god, it's not working, oh my god, this plan failed, that's it. No, have a direction. When you have direction, your brain comes up with possibilities, that gives you multiple other plans. If I'm getting stuck, then my college education is probably going to stop. I would not have seen the possibility, and you get when you ask my faculty, is there anything that I can do? And the person is like, I'm willing to teach you. It's an international pianist. They have acquired awards. Like, seriously, who gets that opportunity to learn from an international pianist who have got scholarship from their country for playing that well at the age of 16? Can you imagine? I'm going to learn from them. You never know where it comes. So when something doesn't work, don't react. Respond, rather. Act, think, calm. Then I would like to say, take initiatives. Take one small step every day at least. It may seem like very less to you, you won't go anywhere, but definitely you're better than what you were yesterday. Every day do something small. Since I like writing and stuff, I actually do all of those even now. I write articles for magazines and stuff, and some of my sketches I'm selling them to tattoo artists, who make designs with it. And I publish my poems in an online website called Loncora, which has around 182 international readers who comment and appreciate the work. And I publish my music as well, electronic dance music separately, and my piano playing, I do that separately in my page. You never know, don't limit yourself to one thing. And Sometimes it's very difficult if you're doing something and you wanted to pursue another. Don't quit what you're doing immediately if you will end up in trouble. It's not only following your passion blindly, it's following with an idea. Like if you're working something and if you follow your passion, if you leave the job and then you won't have enough support system for you, then that's gonna end up badly for you. Work on this side, make time also for this. And then once this comes to a good level that you feel like this will lead you somewhere, quit the thing and then you can come up outside. So yeah, that's what I would like to say. Final statement. A solitary fantasy can change million realities. When I started out, I felt like the only reality that I could change was negative. I was feeling negative about it, that I may lead my family's economic status down and I may get bad name for my family and myself. But now I am here changing reality of you all people. I'm here talking and inspiring you all. It changes, trust me. 3 years, it's just been 3 years since I was that person and since what I am now. It takes only 3 years and it's in your hands. You guys have all the years that you have. So make use of it. Thank you.